What's up, guys? Today's podcast is brought to you by LootCrate.com. Save 10% on any new subscription at Loot Crate. And what are these subscriptions? They have so many, and they're so good. You know what? I'm going to leave it a mystery. That's what I'm going to do. Go to www.trylootcrate.com/Actors Anonymous Podcast. Enter promo code BRIDGE10 for 10% savings. That's 10% back in your pocket. Enjoy the show, guys. Hello. Welcome to Actors Anonymous Podcast. Were you dancing, Jordan?
I was. Actually, I've been going through footage, and there's so many people that at the top of the show are just kind of
like that little intro.
Like want to like string them all
together. I feel like
together.
it's like Saved by the Bell, the new class, like about to start.
Our guests today are Drew Seeley and Amy Paffrath.
Hey.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
You got it.
It's been months in the making, but
Yes.
we finally did it.
We found time.
How was Alaska?
It was amazing. It was beautiful. It was cold. It was everywhere you looked, you saw bald eagles just chilling,
Really?
just hanging out.
Yeah, it was cool. We went to hibernation for about a week on a cruise. If you've ever been on a cruise, you know what they're like. You eat and drink and sleep in, and you're just like existing on a boat, on a giant boat. It was great.
We got married on a cruise. We're kind of cruise fanatics a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I remember you saying that last time.
We really like them.
Yeah. So did you guys get to go on shore at any point? And
Every
do,
day.
Like, every day?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
4 days
Almost every day.
out of the 7.
Yeah.
Almost.
That's part of the fun part of it is that you get to see all these crazy little cities and ports that you've never been to. So
Right.
Yeah.
And what was the coolest thing you guys did?
We went whitewater rafting.
That was cool.
That was pretty cool.
We took a seaplane too. We took off of the bay and flew around all the fjords and came back, and that was kind of neat.
Yeah, and kind
Pristine.
of crazy because it's a tiny little plane. The last time we were in one of those, we
Propeller plane.
jumped out of it skydiving, but it felt like we were in that same tiny airplane. Just for a good amount of time, trying to relax.
awesome.
It was really cool. It was gorgeous views of all these glaciers, and
Wow.
it's just crazy to see that part of the world.
Yeah.
That's a good recharge for sure.
It was.
Uh-huh.
We drank copious amounts of liquor.
That's
My
all-
liver,
That's
my
crazy
liver needs a
too,
recharge.
right?
Yeah.
No, this is kind of a weird question, but are there a lot of mosquitoes up there?
You know, that is
Hardly
a good
any.
question. There were a couple.
Really?
Yeah, there were. I was
You
getting
have different
bit.
answers somehow.
But our guide told us that mosquitoes like blondes better, which I don't know if he was just joking.
Everybody likes you
I'm
better,
falling-
humans or
I'm
mosquitoes.
falling for a blonde.
When you're
joke,
there, there's
but
less attention
I
on
got
you.
bit quite a few times, but not on the ship. No.
I watch a lot of those survival shows or living in
Like
Alaska.
Naked and Afraid. Or,
Yeah, I like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
wildlife kind of shows. And they were every time they're in Alaska, and if it's the summertime, they talk about how many mosquitoes there are over there. So I'm like, oh, they're even up there that far up. So
I didn't think it was crazy. It didn't.
It wasn't crazy
know.
because we weren't by standing water, but we were
Yeah.
also in a coach and then on the ship. We didn't really go into the wilderness. No, it was a very cushy version of Alaska.
Yeah.
We were not in the tundra, but it was really cool because it's daylight for a good 18 hours a day.
We did rent
So it's
scooters.
crazy.
Wow.
We did rent
The sun
scooters
never sets.
and drove out to. We went
There were
an
mosquitoes out there. Yes, you were right.
We went an hour and a half to
knew
this old mining town that sunk into the water that wasn't even there anymore. There's just one post from where our house used to be.
Whoa, that's cool.
But
Because they built a railroad going somewhere
beautiful.
else, so it killed this town, and a big avalanche came and wiped it out. But you could go drive the scooters down there, and it was very marshy.
Yeah.
And there's also bears that run around down there, so it was awesome.
we didn't see any
We did
bears in the
not.
wild. But
Oh man.
I didn't really want to either. I wanted to, but not really.
No, you don't. And especially after seeing this video, you'll never want to see a bear again. So there were these hunters in the woods, and no, it's not like a killing a bear story, but they were, out there hunting, and they saw this bear come up, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's a bear!" And then all of a sudden, the bear just kind of perks its head,
oh,
and it runs towards the tree, and it climbs up the tree past the hunters in 2 seconds.
Oh my
I'm not
God.
exaggerating. It climbed faster than it could run. And the hunters are just looking up, and the camera pans, and the bear's up there. It must have climbed at least 30, 40 feet.
They also
Crazy.
get stuck in trees. Didn't he?
Yeah,
tell
they
us
climb up
that?
like that, but then
And
they don't
can't
know how to
get
get
down.
It's a
Yeah.
real thing. Yeah.
Yes, they have to go rescue bears out of trees.
I think
Jeez.
cows, if they can't go downstairs, if I'm not mistaken.
Or up
What?
trees.
Or upstairs? Is it upstairs?
Well, why would they ever have learned to go upstairs?
Probably not either.
Guys, this podcast is all about cows.
Can't
and
be tipped
animals
over
and
either, right?
mosquitoes.
We all know a lot
Just
about
push 'em down.
wildlife.
It's fine.
Drew, you just finished up a tour, right?
Yeah, I just got back. Right before Alaska, I was on the road with Jersey Boys for 9 months,
That's amazing.
and then actually another 9 months before that. So almost
And
2
who
years
did
now.
you play now?
Bob Gaudio, the keyboard player in one of the Four Seasons.
Nice.
Such a good play.
What's it like touring, man?
Thank you. It's a blast. It's so great. I mean, it's kind of a cushy version of a tour too. Like I've done tours where you're in a new city every night and you're sleeping on a bus, and you're going on empty the whole time. But this tour, we were in every city at least a week, sometimes 2-3 weeks. Sometimes we had a month in San Francisco, which was amazing. And then Amy gets to come on, visit me every 3 weeks or a month, and we've made like a lot of cool little vacation trips out of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's more. It's work play. It's not all work.
And just for our listeners, some backstory. You guys are a married couple.
We are.
You probably should have said that. Yeah,
and married artists. But so now I can only imagine, when you were talking about some tours you did, you slept in a different city or you were performing in a different city every night. Mm-hmm. At first, it might be extremely energetic and exciting, but
that wears off really quick.
Yeah, exactly. So how did you keep that energy up? I mean, what do you do to kind of stay focused, to recharge? I mean,
Red Bull.
Oh my god! Yeah,
it's now sponsoring this podcast. I'm grateful and blessed to be able to make my living as an entertainer. Period. Yeah. So sometimes jobs are easier, sometimes they're like that, and they're really hard to get through. But then you stop and realize what it is that you get to do every day. And it makes it worth it. And there was an end date, like I knew I'd survive. It wasn't like one of these Alaska shows. There were no bears on the road. It was, just a lot of crummy hotel rooms.
Well, the reason why I ask is today I was listening to the Jocko podcast, and I've mentioned it before on the show. And he was an ex-Navy SEAL, and he does a lot of leadership programs. And he has this wonderful, motivating podcast, and he talks about how important it is to get that downtime. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, especially if you're like running on fumes or you're just burnt out, and like how important rest is. So I'm always curious to know like what is certain people's recharge or rest time, and it's nice you guys went on this cruise. You got to binge a little bit on the eating.
That's exactly
and
what
food.
that is recharging the batteries, checking out. You can't use a phone because connection at sea costs you like $20 a gigabyte, so you're like I'm good, I don't need to talk to anyone, so it's just us.
Most of the time when we're together though, that's the least rest we ever get because we're always trying to do something fun. It's date night every night,
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is great. Which is great. But like when I start working again, that's when I'll get to rest. I don't mean that in an insulting way at all.
No, we do.
Yeah,
we try to pack our days with exciting, fun things. We live in LA. It's summer. It's like, why not enjoy it?
Yeah.
And now we have that freedom. He's going back either on the road or
we'll see,
possibly to New York, or we just don't. We're in this freedom zone. So you enjoy it when you have it because it's not always going to be that way. So.
Yeah. Well, what's in New York?
Who knows? Lots of other opportunities.
Gotcha.
Plenty of shows. It's somewhere that I've always wanted to go long term and try living there for a while.
Excellent.
I need to convince you though that might be a good idea.
I'm on the if there was a gig that brought us there, I'm there.
Well, fingers crossed.
We'll see what happens.
Okay. It's usually always the reverse. I feel like a lot of people from New York come to LA.
Yeah.
I've noticed that.
It's interesting to do the other way around.
Yeah.
New York's great though. I love
temporary. If we go to New York, it would not be like we're not going to buy in New York. Yeah. We'll be back here.
Buying anywhere nowadays is like ridiculous.
Yeah. But I would like to try.
Someday.
One day.
Do you guys? I mean, you do musicals as well, or
no? I Kissed a Vampire. Yes. So I enjoy like a good karaoke night, but I am not a classically trained singer. I don't claim that that's my path in life, but I love it.
Yeah.
And if someone gives me an opportunity, I will rise to the occasion. But no, I did not grow up in the theater like this guy over here.
But you are a showman, though.
Yes,
heart.
I sell it with personality and style.
She's like, you would have like the Ringling Brothers hat on and be like the master of ceremonies for any event.
I was watching some of your, I was just doing research on you guys, and I came across some of your High School Musical stuff.
Okay,
and
cool.
the choreography. And there's actually one thing I want to talk to you about. But another thing is, I think it's so important for just artists in general, actors, take some type of choreography class, even if you don't do dance, or even if like do some type of cardio kickboxing class.
My favorite.
Just to like understand your body more and trying to like get that memory going with that body movement. I think that's so important. Did you find a natural inclination to that because you started off young, or was
I started dancing before anything else.
Okay.
Before singing, acting. My parents got me and my sister into it when I was like 7.
Yeah.
And I danced competitively, we go to competitions or whatever until I was about 13.
Right.
And then suddenly dancing wasn't cool anymore. And I was like, screw this.
And then boy bands came and it was again.
And then so I had 4 years of sulking and writing grunge songs, and then joined a boy band and started dancing again.
That's awesome. Do you find it, what's the best way, I guess, for somebody who is doing like, intense dancing, intense choreography, to become more aware of their body when it is, like you've been pushing it too far? And how do you know whenever like a muscle's sore versus whenever it's torn? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, does that just take time and experience to develop?
I think when it's torn, I would think. We always stretch quite a bit before and after we work out, or we took a boot camp class this morning, and give yourself the time to get into it and get out of it.
Yeah.
But,
and just be present in your body. I think that's the most important thing you can do. Even growing up as a kid, I think I'm more aware of my body now.
Right.
Being
Me too,
in
definitely.
my 30s, and like I have a grasp on what's going on.
Right.
Even like I'm still practicing gymnastics to this day, and I'm better than I would have been. I'm just better now because I have a better understanding. So I just think that body awareness and being in great alignment and making sure every movement has a purpose so that you don't get injured, so that you can avoid these sort of things, because dance does take a toll on your body. So I think you just have to be mindful.
Absolutely. I mean,
the reason
why I ask
shit out of your body. Now, stay flexible and get into the habit of it, because it is the hardest thing to get into the habit of. We're always like, we're going to go roll out tonight. And no, we don't. And foam rollers is what we mean. You guys don't know. You can roll out your hips, and it does feel so good, but it also hurts so bad if you don't do it on a regular basis. So.
All we end up is getting on the couch and rolling out the salami and the cheese.
and the prosciutto.
That's how we roll out. Roll it out and then roll it in our mouth.
Take yoga. Get into the habit of doing yoga. I think that's a really great thing to add in. Then you said cardio kickboxing. That's great to keep you're just, loose.
I need to get into yoga. I've
Dude,
tried.
Go to NoHo Yoga.
Tried and I failed.
Is that how we're going to get him?
I go up there, and there's a great class I take up there. We're not sponsored by them, but I'll just say it's a DDP Yoga class, and it's literally...
What does DDP mean?
Diamond Dallas Page. He used to be that wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
And he had debilitating back problems.
Oh, wow.
And like they were like, you're not, this is really, you'll never do wrestling again. And so he started doing yoga, and then he developed this kind of technique through yoga where it's basically the same kind of poses and flows you go into, but imagine that you're moving through clay or sand. So during the whole practice, you're tensing every single muscle in your body like a bodybuilder, but through the whole class. So you're doing cardio, stretching, and strength training all at once. I'm telling you, it's pretty cool. And like any level you can start off with.
You got to try it.
You got to try it.
NoHo, DDP.
You can come with me on Tuesday and Thursday nights.
Done.
You go twice a week. Look at you.
I know.
Getting it.
We were doing a show and it ran over, and like afterwards it was like you were so upset.
You
were so
missed
devastated.
Yoga.
Yeah.
That is the worst when you're like
it's such
10
an LA
minutes.
thing.
Oh, I missed yoga. Whatever.
I guess I'll go get a smoothie.
Yeah.
Well, you're a big health and fitness person. I saw from your website and blog, right?
I am.
Yeah.
Very into it. Something that I sort of got back into when we got married, because everybody does. You want to look your best for your wedding. And I started training with a personal trainer. It kind of changed everything. I always kind of laughed at that notion and thought, like, I know what I'm doing. I grew up playing sports. I grew up doing gymnastics. I like to mix it up, go to different classes.
Yeah.
But then working with the trainer just got very specific. And I got to work on things that reminded me of gymnastics training, and muscle memory came back really easily. Suddenly I can do like an aerial again, which I haven't been able to do since like 5th grade.
Nice.
Wow.
So it's kind of insane. And we put together like a little fight reel because I've been boxing too. And so just like, maybe there's a future in action movies for me. That would be so great. And the boot camp we take on Mondays and Saturdays is very parkour based. So it's really about mobility. I want to age gracefully and not be like breaking hips at
absolutely.
at whatever age. I want to run a marathon at 90. You see people doing these crazy feats, and it's really, my dad died of ALS too. Let's get to the root of why this motivates me so much. And I watched him sort of deteriorate. And so my body just has become such an important thing. Like, we take it for granted.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
I have that mobility, so I want to take advantage of it. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, to put it in the simplest way.
Yeah.
Plus, it feels great too whenever you're just being active. You're doing something super active, or you're that sense of accomplishment. We had Steve Howie on our show last time, and he talked about like why after like a really serious workout, it feels so good. Is also that not just the endorphins, but that sense of accomplishment. Like I just put myself through hell.
Yep. Walking home, you're like, I did it.
Yeah.
Today's gonna be
done.
good.
It's an amazing feel. You just feel good for the rest of the day. So I totally
too.
get it. Drew, first off, Amy, great. I saw your acting reel. And you have some great spots on Sullivan's Sons. That was a great role.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Speaking of, I just tweeted Leslie Jones in Ghostbusters. She was that was her first guest star ever. Was also in my episode of Sullivan and Son.
Oh, nice.
We both filmed our very first guest stars together.
That's
She's
awesome.
the coolest person. I'm so
just
happy.
met her. I was like blown away about how like she's just so nice.
Her
and
story is incredible too. You
really?
gotta have her on here because she's been hustling.
She was
as a
stand up in LA
comic
forever. We'd seen her live multiple times before you even did that episode.
so many times. She's a
Wow.
badass.
She deserves it.
She's 48 and getting like a lead in a blockbuster film. It just gives me that hope. Like, man, hang on, because she's so talented and always has been. But Hollywood finally discovered her.
Yeah.
Finally. So if you hang in long enough, it will happen.
That's a good takeaway. Don't go home. Keep hustling.
Just keep going.
It's true,
She's
yeah.
grinding it out and at the comedy club and working on her material.
doing
that's
her own
also-
thing.
Well, that's also a thing where expectation and how artists can manipulate it or change it. What do you guys expect of that? Because sometimes, like us as actors, we want to be extremely successful in our careers. A lot of people want to do that.
Yeah.
But there, at a certain point, when does expectation have to meet reality? And I guess that just it just depends on each person's circumstances, really.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think you have to keep creating and collaborating, and your path will flourish the way that it does. And I don't think either of us want to be like J-Lo or anything. Like, I don't want that level of fame. That's intense. I'd like my semblance
we're
of
not
a normal
in
life.
it for the fame. It's
But
for,
to be an actor and keep working and to be surviving off of that is, to me, that's successful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You don't have to be world renowned and getting nominated for any awards. You can just be surviving in this career, which I think is awesome.
And there's so many ways to be creative within this career.
Yeah.
I know very few people who are just actors. They're writers or singers or dancers. They're marketing mavens, whatever, artists.
I mean, in so many
and it all overlaps in so many ways. So when times have been slow for me in the past 10 years, I've turned to different things. I've turned to music. I've written some scripts, and then things come back around. But you have all these other interesting avenues that you've tried and new relationships that you've made, and it doesn't. There's no need for anything to get old or tired. It's just you need to keep. Man, I'm rambling now.
evolving.
No.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
keep looking for opportunity because it's always there somewhere if you
And
look
this
for
industry changes so fast, and we adapt. There's new
Yeah.
social media. There's new ways to get your message out there.
Always.
Like this, doing a podcast. You decided, I want to talk to actors. I want to hear their stories. Here you are doing it.
Right.
How many episodes later? 70?
I don't know. We're
80,
100 in August. Yeah.
Wow. See, that's
Congratulations,
amazing.
guys.
Yeah.
So you can take the power into your own hands too. It's more exciting.
Or just hearing people's stories too. Everybody has a different story. Everyone has a different struggle, and it doesn't matter how big, how small, like where you are in your career. Everyone has had something.
Everyone. I think that's the unifying thing that makes you feel like, okay, we are all in this together, and nobody's like had it that easy. Well, some people, some kids of famous people,
and take it and use it because every single movie or TV show that's ever been created was about struggle. In some sense.
Well, life is about struggle.
Life is about struggle. So
art has to imitate life
Exactly.
at some point,
So-
right?
At some point.
yeah.
What's been your biggest struggle in this industry?
Well, shaking the Disney kid monkey or whatever. That's not the right word, but
Monkey or
moniker. Yeah, I don't know, whatever.
I like monkey better.
I got you.
It was hard for a long time. Some people look at me and say, "Oh, he's just a singer," or "Oh, he's just a this or that," or and now sometimes it's like, "Oh, he's just a theater guy," and so it's like hard breaking people's perceptions and getting into the rooms to do the work that you can do when you don't get the chance. So I think it's just been trying to diversify myself as much as I can to break down those walls. So when somebody says something like that, I can be like, "Aha!" But check this out. I'm not just that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
What about you?
I'd say the same. And for me, it's just
Pigeonholing.
Yeah, as a host, because I've worked a lot as a host. So certain people can't really use their imaginations, imagine that in a creative industry, and know that you're also capable of way more than that person. So that's been, I think, the toughest thing. But, you know, I like a struggle. I like a good fight, and I'll put up my dukes and carry on. So it's been fun breaking down those walls. I think E was the one thing. After E is when I really kind of broke out of, I think, the hosty thing. And I've been still working on not being so hosty. That's the weirdest thing these days. Whenever I go for hosting auditions, they want hosts, but don't be hosty. I'm like, okay, I'm working real hard on like trying to find this balance of being like normal, but also you wrote copy that no one would ever say in normal life.
You know who's good at that?
What are you going to do with this?
Bert Kreischer.
I don't know him.
Traveled, yeah.
Bert
Kreischer, I believe his last name.
I'll look him up.
Bert. He does stand-up comedy, and it's totally different from his. Not different, but he's a little bit more blue with his stand-up.
Nice.
And he's been on a lot of podcasts. One of the best ones, most recent ones, was on the Greg Fitzsimmons podcast, and they talk about how like it's so hard to be that version of you sometimes for something they need to like trim you down on in terms of you can't curse, you can't do this, you can't say this kind of stuff. But he's like, I was lucky enough to find that, and that's what a lot of hosts, I think that's where the successful hosts, they find their niche. So
yeah,
I'm sure you'll find it, or I'm sure you found it already.
It's got to come with writing too, though, because there's things like, if you've ever seen what is it, the America's Funniest Home Videos with Tom Bergeron.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, those lines, I'm just like, oh my God, you must just be like dying
I
inside.
know.
like it's so terrible.
Right.
Like,
but I would do that in a heartpeat. That's syndication money.
Paycheck's not terrible.
Get out of town. I will take it, Tom Bergeron, if you want to leave that one behind. No, it's cool. It's always an evolving thing, and I think it's fun to try and slip in between these roles and match what they're asking, because I think that's the most fun of being an actor, is trying to take direction, too. You're like, okay, you're not seeing what I thought I was projecting, so let me try that again. And that's, I think, the fun collaboration. And you are going to be somebody's flavor and somebody's vibe and essence. It is your essence. I mean, that's one of the biggest things in our industry, is you're just either the right flow or you're not. Yeah. So doesn't mean you're terrible at what you do.
No. You mentioned something about, I think you did, or Amy did, pigeonholing. And so sometimes, this is a business, especially like with commercial stuff. I learned that, they need to see you and say, okay, what kind of archetypical character are we looking for that we can imagine just from your looks plain. What do you guys think is the best way then to like, or what ways have you guys found success into breaking that pigeonholing for yourselves? I know you mentioned you diversify, right? But I mean, at a certain point, don't you think like you got to play the game to a certain extent?
Yeah, you absolutely have to know your marketing. Yeah. I think for me, it's been hair colors, because I go in between like red and blonde, and they both project very different feelings and images of myself. So I feel like, I've kind of gone in between that to not get so pigeonholed. And I think that's why acting, I've been able to do a lot of different roles. My hair never looks the same. People don't know when I'm on TV because I'm always like in a wig or something weird. So that's been really fun for me to get to disappear into that and not just be like a version of me all the time. Except Sullivan and Son. That was kind of a version of me.
You sell cigarettes?
No. But I do some questionable things.
Little smokes for little folks.
Don't really feel bad about it.
What about you, Drew?
What was the question again?
How do you not get pigeonholed?
I mean, the hair color, I wish that I could just change it every 6 months, and I guess I could. I feel like, I've been able to work in different mediums, but it's usually as the same type of character. Yeah. Like the boy next door, or like the nice guy, the best friend that I like. I very rarely get called in for dark roles or, anything nothing. The shows that I like to watch are not the shows that I get called in on. Yeah.
No, I get it.
But you know what? At the same time, it's like you can't force a square peg into a round hole. Like, I know what I'm good at, and I know what people keep casting me as. So I guess that is kind of what I'm good at. I want to challenge myself, but at the same time, you have to somewhat accept your type. Yeah. Especially in the commercial world and like that whole thing. Like, you gotta have a lane. Yeah. I think I've never really quite found my lane in that sense, and I haven't really had a lot of success in that world. That's probably why. I'm learning something today.
I think it's a combination too of,
Let's ask the viewers at home.
Facebook. Why can't Drew get a commercial to save his life?
Would you like to see me as a banker, a lawyer,
a young
or
dad,
see a rock star?
I think it's a combination of, if you are going out for those same roles or booking those same roles, and then people know you for a while in them, and then having that one director or one project or producer that kind of comes along and they're like, you know what, let's switch this up. Let's, and then everybody's like, oh, we would have never thought of this person. And I don't know, timing's a lot in this business, as you guys know.
And relationships, like you just said. Yeah, years from now, and you just got a call to play a cop.
Yeah.
From a friend that he worked with, and that's kind of not in your...
That's great.
I don't think I've ever played a cop, so
there you go.
Sweet. That could be a good bridge.
It's very much based on that relationship. Somebody that trusts you and knows, of course, Drew can do this. Why wouldn't he? But a casting director might not call you in because they're like, look at this baby face. He can't be a cop. But yeah, I'm working with a director I worked with 8 years ago in a couple of weeks to do a short film that's just a fun, beautiful piece, and it's something that I probably wouldn't get cast in a room. So you kind of got to find those projects on your own until people start giving you those opportunities.
Right.
Look at Brie Larson too. She was, she had a hard time.
She broke out of her room.
Yeah.
Her box.
She broke into that room.
Out of the box into the room.
And then out of it.
I always loved her in United States of Terror. That was one of my favorite.
Yes.
And that show, oh my God, talk about crazy capabilities. Like she played, what was it, Toni Collette? 7 characters?
Yeah.
What a cool opportunity.
Yeah. So much good TV out there now.
There really is.
Forget about all your shows.
Auditions are happening all year long, which is great.
There's no pilot season anymore, really.
Year.
Yeah.
Which I kind of love.
Yeah, there still is that little intense period, though.
Oh, yeah.
There is.
The January to April is
but
gray.
It's nice.
It's a little slow right now. I don't know about you.
Yeah. I think it depends on type, too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It depends on type. But I think for the most part, it's happening year long. There is that intense portion in the spring. But yeah, I actually recently had meetings with some new commercial agents, and the question that I asked them, and I found some interesting answers, was, what do you guys do when it's slow? You know what I mean?
That is a very good question.
Because I know what actors do when it's slow now. They either create their own content or, they're updating their looks or whatever. And so it was always interesting to me. A lot of them said, we go through our client list and we try to get coffee with people we haven't talked with in a while, see what they're up to, go through their headshots again, and a lot of times they realized, especially if they have a large client list, people's headshots are not really up to date with how they're currently looking. And they're like, oh, well, this is a problem. We haven't met in a while in person, so I'm thinking you look like this. And in reality, you look...
What happened?
Yeah.
That is so funny from the agent perspective. Yeah. You don't think about it like that.
No.
And how, why aren't you booking? Oh, because look at you. They're expecting this.
Oh my gosh.
Drew, I saw you're Emmy nominated. Is that correct?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing for a high school musical, correct?
It was for songwriting. I co-wrote Get Your Head in the Game, the basketball song from the first film. So we were nominated for Best Original Music and Lyrics 2006.
Congrats. That's awesome.
Thank you. It was a blast. I had been in LA for like 2 years, and it was kind of like it was my big break. And I flew my parents out, and they came to the Emmys with me, and we went to the after party, and it was amazing. You came.
I was there.
You were looking beautiful, and the paparazzi fell in love with you. They took like 80 million pictures of you, and I think maybe the one of me. You should have been nominated.
Those were the breaks.
No, it was. Yeah, it was that whole project. That whole thing was amazing to be involved with, because then we got to go on tour. That was one of the first tours. And then we did a South American tour, and it opened a lot of doors. I think pretty much right after that is when Cinderella Story happened, and kind of been riding the wave since then. So very blessed.
Was like a phenomenon too. Like that just caught, like High School Musical just caught on like wildfire.
From what I hear, they're working on the new school one.
Oh,
like
really?
10 years later, trying to rework it as a movie now with like I think a brand new cast and new music, which I hopefully will be able to write some of.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. Yeah.
I saw that. And how does this work? They meshed your voice with Zach.
This is a weird.
You get this a lot. I'm sorry if you don't want to talk about it. That's fine.
Yeah,
Did they ask people ask you about this a lot?
I'll explain it if he doesn't want.
No, I just was interested in the technicality of it, like the technical aspects.
From seeing it or looking at it, he sings like the first part, and then it becomes Drew's voice. So there's a little portion that's like blended to make it.
Oh, okay.
So there's a karaoke scene in the movie, and Zach starts to like he talks and then starts to sing. So at the beginning, it's his real voice, and then it's like it gets really good all of a sudden.
Like a head whip, and
then it's Drew.
Zach
got a lot better in the second movie.
He sang all his own stuff in the second and the third movies, and I never want to take away from his his props because he's got a great voice and he's good at what he does too. But
no, I was just curious because I read something and I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like because I'm not a singer really, and so I was just like curious, like, do they like make them sing at the same time and then like with some post editing stuff, or do they sing one line, he sings the other? So it was just good.
That's what it's right. That's what happened. Yeah, it's his voice at the very beginning, and then it's yours. You don't want to talk about it.
Okay, that's fine. We can move on.
It's okay.
Anyway, it was a great.
Love Zach. No fucking hard feelings at all. Sorry.
It was a great chapter in my life. So good times.
Oh, you can curse on here. We curse so much and all the time. So
I auditioned for the movie Zach's in right now. That Dave and Mike and Dave. We need wedding dates. It does look good. And then Aubrey Plaza.
That's one of the hot mess wedding dates.
Anna Kendrick wrote it. So I'm like, of course I'm not getting this movie. Demi Lovato auditioned for that. Isn't that crazy?
Was she there at your audition?
I found that odd that she would sign in an audition like a normal actor.
Well, I never would have thought Aubrey Plaza would have taken roles like that. But then I saw, was it Dirty Grandpa? And I was like, that. Like, I guess that's right up her alley of like that comedy was like
very true
on for her.
Yeah. The script was really funny. So I can't wait to see it.
Side note.
Anyway.
So we always ask some of our guests their bad audition stories.
God. Oh my God.
I got to give one. You got to just
I have one that comes to mind. I had a singing audition.
Yeah.
And I couldn't think of what to sing because I'm not a singer. And Drew was like, oh, you love Madonna. Like, sing a Madonna song. So I decide I land on Get Into the Groove, which is like the weirdest choice. And so I did this awkward dancing with it. It was so bizarre. And it was a cappella. And the guy, it was just me and one guy. And he was just like, okay, thank you so much. And like didn't want to talk to me after. It was terrible. And then I was so mad at him. And now
she was pissed at me.
I was like, why would you tell me to sing that song? What is wrong with you? I was like, get into the groove.
I guess you didn't get into the groove enough. You could have gotten into the groove.
Your love to me. Yeah.
See, she's great. They should have cast her. I don't get it. I still don't get it.
One of these days, that tape's gonna surface like Chris.
I stand by my.
What's his name? Chris. I don't know. From oh God, this is going
From
nowhere. The guy whose tape came out. It'll come back to me. I'll figure it out.
Came out. Okay.
He was in American Pie, and his audition
Chris Klein.
Chris Klein.
Okay.
Yeah, from Mamma Mia.
On that level.
No,
but that was messed up.
Do you remember that tape?
I'm gonna have to look
terrible.
that up.
That struck fear into every actor, I think, in the world. Knowing that if you have a bad audition, it can get out and
But at the same time, like seeing someone's like good audition, like when you see was it I don't remember his name.
Rachel McAdams in The Notebook.
That's such a good one.
Yeah.
But there's one too where Elliot from E.T.
Oh yeah, that one.
Steven Spielberg literally is just like, "You got it, kid. It's yours." Like at the end of it, because he was like bawling his eyes out in the audition.
Seen it. That's
so good.
I went down the rabbit hole one day and just watched like 80 of those great audition videos, and I was like, felt so good.
What's your bad audition?
Oh man, I blew. I really blew it. I blew the chance to be a series regular on a show that went for 10 years. I tested for One Tree Hill. The original season for Nathan's role, Chad Michael Murray's brother, and down to me and maybe two guys, James Lafferty and somebody else. But I was in the middle of my audition scene, and I guess I forgot to turn my cell phone off. And I'm in a room full of suits, like 20 people, and right in the middle of the scene. This is like the fourth time I've been in. This is it. And I was like, fuck, what do I do? So I answered the phone and I like tied it into the scene and started like pretending it was like another character in the show.
Drew.
I made up like 20 seconds of my own script. And I'm like, you know what? I gotta call you back. We're about to hit this party. Da-da-da. And then I went back and I finished the scene off with the casting director, dead eyes, just dead eyeing me. And then, they're like, "Thank you." Oh. And then I didn't get it. Obviously, I thought maybe they would appreciate.
Okay,
that I didn't break. I went with it. Horror. I went with it, and it made sense. But it was like, you should have turned your cell phone off. Like, welcome to Hollywood. Hope you learn your lesson.
You got the hard lesson that day.
But like some pilots you audition for and you get, and like it won't even go to series. Like I could have gotten one episode, but 10 years of a show would have been sick. Anyway, James did a great job on the show. He's a better basketball player than I ever will be. You know that.
Oh my God! You had to play basketball in this role?
So the right man won. The right guy got the job, but still, that was like a crushing audition. That was because it was the first time I tested for anything too.
Yeah.
So I was like,
That's a nerve-wracking experience.
Yeah.
I hate it. I'm not a fan.
I tested this year for a pilot, and luckily it was just the same producers in the room. There was like one extra producer, and that was it. The suits, the network were not in there.
That's great.
So it was like
more comfortable,
chill.
more relaxing.
Yeah, the room was really small too, so we were just and there was camera equipment failure, so it was like we just sat and talked for a while.
Well,
so
that's nice.
I had a really good experience, but. I have a question. Who was on the other line, and were they just like?
It was my friend.
Were you like, hey, whatever, you're improv. You're like, hey, what's going on, man? And they're like, hey, nothing much. You like say some random stuff, and they're like, what are you talking about? Are you in trouble?
It was my friend from college, Alicia, who lives in New York right now, and she was calling about just I don't know some bullshit. Yeah. Just a regular social call, nothing important, nothing life threatening. And I said some stuff, and I wasn't even listening to her. I was just like, tune her out, just talk. So I was just like saying my side of it, and then I hung up. Dude, and I called her later, and I was like, you know what just happened? Yeah.
This is all your fault.
And then we haven't spoken since. Yeah. We actually don't talk anymore, which is
sad.
Not because of that.
But you bounce back. That's why we like talking about these, because you bounce back. You're like, okay, that's the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was a choice. Right. It was a choice you made, and like whether or not it worked or not, like it was something that you just were bold enough to do.
Ran out of the room. Yeah. But that one always will stick out to me as like, man, you idiot.
It's that cold sweat feeling, you know what I'm talking about? Or like when your stomach just drops.
That nausea.
See,
I've had that a few times in Jersey Boys too.
I like cringeworthy moments like that, and if they're happening to me, they're I'm like, oh crap. But like if somebody else is happening, I'm like, like I get so excited.
You want to see what they're gonna do?
Yes, because
that's when the magic, the real stuff happens,
right?
Yeah,
it could be so real and truthful in that moment, and you're just like,
I'm telling you. We should set up a fake casting and do the most awkward things.
So mean. I have so much sympathy for other actors. They would go through hell. Like maybe for Friends. I wouldn't mind doing it for Friends.
It would just be really weird.
What about a little community? You do it as like an exercise so that you're prepared for anything.
There you go. You message everybody later being like, "This is a prep. This is a prep course.
So
it's free. I hope you enjoyed it.
Free workshop. You're welcome."
Shout out to my high school teacher who, for one run, he would try to break us throughout the whole run of the show we were doing. So he'd be walking on stage with us and like talking in our ear and like trying to break us. It was actually like one of the funnest rehearsals to do because, you know, we'd be laughing and trying to stay in character. So
good focus exercise.
Yeah,
it really is.
Smart.
See, we had teachers that would throw shoes at us if we missed lines.
Mine did too.
Yeah, right?
Shoes on stage, coming at you. Yeah.
What? Coming in hot too. It wasn't even like light. Yeah, teacher would just take his shoe off. Be like, no! Like just throw it.
I think things are a little more PC like 15, 20 years later, whenever that was. I feel like if a teacher through a shoe now, we'd read about it on news.
Kids would be filming it and streaming it live. They'd be like, look at my crazy ass teacher.
Gone.
Yeah. The good old days.
Oh, I wish. No, I'm kidding.
I'm so glad that none of this existed. I love you guys. I'm so glad you could be watching, but I'm so grateful that none of this existed when I was in high school.
Can you imagine if that happened in a casting, though? Wrong.
Yeah. Get out. I'd be at this point, I'd be like, did you just throw a shoe at me, dude?
I'd start throwing mine back.
Yeah, right? You took the high heel and threw at them.
Yeah, bitch.
Shout out to Mrs. Mueller. Thanks. She never hit me. She got close.
Well, we're almost out of time.
Aww.
I know.
This has been fun. This has been really fun.
This has been fun.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Time flies, guys. We're going to be doing these longer in the future, we've decided. Maybe like 4 hours each. 6 hours.
24-hour podcast? monitoring every
podcast
moment.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
24-hour podcast.
Just wear a mic pack.
There'd be a lot of drink. I don't even drink, but there'd probably be a lot of drinking going on.
I would need it.
Why? When did that happen?
I don't know. I just imagine at like 16 hours in, you're like, just bring out the liquor, I guess.
Let's just start drinking.
So anything? Oh, you do a podcast before we go.
I do.
Yeah. Tell us about it.
It's called Tell Me Something Good.
Yes.
It is on iTunes and Podbean. And it's awesome. It's fun. It's all about positivity, inspiring stories, uplifting people, good Samaritans, that sort of thing. And I just partnered with Focus Magazine.
Nice.
So I'm going to be doing it visually. It's going to be a little web show for an indefinite period of time. So that was my whole goal, was always to bring it to life. I always saw it as an actual show, and I just started doing it as a podcast because my agents, my awesome agent, they're not my agents anymore, because that's their advice, was to do a podcast. Even though podcasting is awesome, I wanted their help and I didn't get any help. But there's many other reasons which we could delve into way more in depth.
Well, now I want to know.
Yeah, you want to do a discussion on agents?
Okay. Then real quick, because this is actually something that I think is important. Whenever your reps aren't working for you, what did you do?
This was a long relationship, and I was with them for about 7 years, and I loved them dearly. We got along great. They're amazing humans. But a job for me ended earlier this year, unexpectedly, dating naked. And just kind of the way they handled me through that, they didn't want to tell me about it, which I am full disclosure. I want to be in every conversation. I want to know that my job could possibly be in jeopardy, so that I don't hear about it from somebody else who's going in and auditioning. Right. So I wanted better communication. And at the end of the day, I just decided I'd rather pull the plug and find somebody that gets me and will really communicate on a level that works. Because all I want is somebody that responds to my emails every once in a while, too. Yeah. I'm not asking for a lot. Right. So I found someone great, and I'm very excited. I'm with Innovative now, which is awesome. Great. They're a great agency, and see how that goes.
I've heard that same advice too from somebody who's working in the business, and he says, when they weren't working for me, I'll drop agents. Yeah. He drops reps quicker than I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, dude, you're gonna run the gamut of everybody soon.
I've been through a ton of commercial agents as well, and so I think it is the name of the game. If it's not working, then just peacefully part ways. There's absolutely no harm, no foul. It's business. You have to be able to make those, I think, kind of tough decisions, because I think these relationships drag on way longer. And once you kind of cut that dead weight, so to speak, you free yourself up for somebody to be like, I would love to represent you. And they're fired up about you. Because that's all it takes, is somebody who's now newly charged up. Like, cool, let's see who your contacts are and let's get you back out there. You're fresh blood to them. Yeah. It's just easy to become sort of lost in a pile in a big agency.
Yeah.
It really is.
That happens a lot.
It does. So you got to find someone you click with. It's all about energy, and I think personalities.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's it.
Drew, have you been with the same
what
reps?
She said. I've had a couple, but my current agent I've been with for 10 years. My agent and my manager kind of work together, and I love them. That's
a good team. That's lucky.
We have great communication. I'm never in the dark. I bring them stuff. They bring me stuff, and we've got a good thing. So
great.
That's where I'm at.
That's good. You are very lucky.
Lucked out in that sense. Yeah.
I have a quick question about the difference between auditioning with theater and auditioning with TV and film. What would you say are the good points, the more uncomfortable? Is it any different, or in preparation, or in is it more uncomfortable? Are you auditioning on stage versus
never on stage? It's always in a big room. It's in a big hall. A big the room is always huge, so you got to take that into account. Your voice doesn't throw as far. You have to really support when you speak and when you sing, even in your audition, quite a lot more than you would in a regular film and TV.
Yeah,
that really is a thing. But otherwise, no. Everybody's pleasant and excited, and they all want you to get the job. It's the same thing. You're in the room because you have fans, and you are right for the role and could do the role. So, yeah. I mean, I've never lived in New York and I had to go through the audition scene there. Jersey Boys actually came out to LA to see what the LA pool of actors was, and found me here. And then I had to go to New York for the callback. And that was my only experience with that. And I've been to New York for some other auditions, but I guess it's a little more of a cattle call situation sometimes. Yeah. It's a lot of people and huge rooms full of people, but it's always exciting. It's a different, it's just a different way to flex your instrument.
What's theater?
What is theater?
Discuss.
I don't know. Work is work. Acting is acting.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. Seriously, it's been so insightful and so much fun. Yeah, absolutely. Before we go, one piece of advice for the struggling artist. Drew.
Ladies first.
Oh. Okay.
I always say don't have a plan B. I think if you want to follow your dream, you have to follow it hard and until it happens, because the minute you put an expiration date on things is the minute you go to that plan B. So I know people that move out here and want to try it out for like 3 months. You might as well just not even come. Like, save your money and stay where you're at, because it takes a long time. It's a marathon, not a sprint. That's something that someone told me very early on, and it's been very helpful, because you see these people that it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. You know, that's a very common saying. It's true. If you look at someone who's popping, you'll look and see that their credits go back at least 10, 12 years. So you just got to keep your head in the game and stay, I think, have other interests. Stay a whole human being.
You stole mine. That's
because,
what I was gonna say.
Sorry. I'm just giving so much advice. You go ahead. No plan B. Done.
No, surround yourself. Cutting the dead weight with agents, you were saying. It's kind of the same thing with friend groups, honestly. Like, it's okay if people's lives diverge in different ways. Yeah. And, you have to constantly surround yourself with people that bring you up and make you better as a human, as an actor, or whatever. And then be okay with don't define yourself by your career, even though
that's a great piece of advice.
It's hard though, because to make it in this town or whatever, like I feel like you have to be so driven and motivated and like eye on the prize, and like you have to be like that.
I think you have to just be a very good person. I really do. I think if you emanate from you have to be the heart
overly motivated and yet not defined by your career. Understand that work will come and go. There'll be lean years, there'll be great years, but have your support system and your like self figured out.
Absolutely.
Although we're all just continually figuring ourselves out, I think.
Aren't we though?
That's part of the journey.
I love it. If people want to find you on the interweb, where can they go?
We didn't let ladies go first on that one. I was just joking. Any moment of self-promo.
I
love you. Go ahead.
DrewSeeley.com. Also, my Twitter and Instagram handle is my name, Drew Seeley, and official Drew Seeley is my Facebook.
Awesome. Cool.
Amy Paffrath everywhere. Paffrath. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, website.
Great.
And Starbucks.
And what's your podcast again?
Tell Me Something Good. It is available on iTunes, and What's Good is coming to Focus TV starting in like a week or so. So be on the lookout. Nice. Yeah.
Sweet.
Jordan, thanks for hosting, man.
Always.
Yeah, you're looking good today.
Better than I feel.
Oh no!
Can I make an announcement?
I should apologize to all of the PR contacts I have for this show, because I was email hacked this morning.
Oh no!
And it was like a disaster.
I got an email from you.
So did I.
Yes. I'm gonna delete it. Do not open.
I did.
I think I did open it.
My phone warned me.
It didn't do anything.
I've had like showrunners from places I've worked on, like literally like managers, like I'm like telling everybody, I'm like, if you haven't heard from me in a while, and there's an email for like it's a Dropbox, and I'm like, do not open it. Like if I was like,
I knew it was suspect, but my phone said, don't open this. This is weird.
Yeah, my entire day has been handling all of that. It's just
Did you give people a virus?
No,
I did open it.
Just my sister, but I helped her manage it. So, oh my god, it was awful.
Don't say that out of context.
Oh yeah,
I know.
Edit, Gabe, edit.
Don't edit. Don't edit. Get the word out.
Leave it in there.
No. Nicole Boucher, thanks for doing your sound engineering and social mediaing. Great having you back from your trip. At Nikki592 is where people can find you. Big thanks to GVB Studios. Thank you, Gabe. And you can find me at WeSamKish. Hit us up on actorsanonymouspodcast.com or Twitter or Facebook. We're doing Facebook Live now. Thanks for everybody who tuned in.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Hope you enjoyed it.
My big hand just went in front of the TV. All right, guys. We are out. Always remember to listen, think, and then talk.